Something happened recently that caught me completely off guard. We signed 2 clients in the last month, and both of them told me the same thing during our initial conversations. They used AI to find us. More importantly, they used AI to vet us against what they deemed our competitors before they ever reached out. One of them was a home remodeling company, went so far as to send me the document that he used, showing me exactly how he used AI to analyze our agency against 3 other industry competitors. He literally graded us, created a scorecard, evaluated our positioning, our methodology, our credibility marketers, all before we even knew he existed. And here's the thing that's a little unnerving about it. He made his decision about whether to contact us or not before we even had the opportunity to influence that decision. Or did we influence that decision? Stick around, I'll tell you more. If you're new here, I'm Darrell Evans, CEO of MindShift Digital. Today, we're going to talk about how AI is changing the buyer's journey in ways that most business owners, including myself, can't even see yet, or some don't even realize is happening yet, and what I think you all need to be doing about it differently, because I know we are. We've been on AI since ChatGPT came out in 2022, full-time, changed our whole business around AI. That's not a surprise. We were really using AI a little bit before that, but of course, everyone's been on board since ChatGPT. And at our agency for the last 15 years, I've spent the majority of our time working on the success of our model based on the buyer's journey. So where it doesn't sound sexy all the time to talk about the buyer's journey, the psychology of the buyer, the demographics, the psychographics, and all of that, that's where our success lives. It's why we've been able to have success with 600 plus companies of all different companies, all different sizes, all different types of industries. So let me walk you through exactly what's actually happening right now, because this fundamental shift is happening across a lot of domains, including how I do things, but it's really happening across how people buy. The old buyer's journey that all of us know, right? Someone had a problem, they go to Google, they type in a search, maybe they type in 4, 5, 6, 7 words, what we would call in the old day long tail keywords. They would type in maybe something in MySpace like marketing agency for contractors, or best CRM for small business, or, top rated plumbers near me, whatever that might be. They clicked on a few websites, they looked at a few directories, maybe they read a blog post or two, maybe even they watched a video, but they were doing their research and gathering information, trying to find out who might be able to help them. And eventually they'd narrow that down to where they made a scenario where they reached out to a company, and maybe you were one of those companies, or we were one of those companies. Back then, you would get to then explain who you were, what you did, how you do it differently, and why they should choose you. That was the old model. That's what worked 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. But here's what I'm starting to see as an agency owner. We're helping clients every single day with this. The new model looks a little bit more like this. Someone has a problem, they go to ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and instead of typing 4, 5, 6, or 7 words, they're typing 20, 30, 40. They're giving full-on explanations about their entire situation. They're doing things like, I run a $3 million home remodeling company in Santa Clarita, California. We've been in business for 12 years. We're getting leads, but our close rate has dropped from 35% to 22% over the last 18 months. We think we have a marketing problem, but we're not sure. We've tried to work with 2 other agencies before, but neither of them really worked out for us. We need someone who understands our industry, our buyers, and can help us fix this without disrupting our operations. That, my friend, was a real prompt, a real conversation that one of these customers had with their AI, shared it with me. I was so grateful, ever so grateful. That's the kind of prompt that they're now giving AI. They're not searching AI. They're talking to and having full-on conversations. And my friend, that changes the game. Then AI does something really interesting, right? It suggests to this person potentially 5 potential solutions, right? Companies, agencies, etc. But here's where it gets wild. The buyer then asks AI to evaluate those companies and their solutions against very specific criteria. For example, compare these 5 agencies based on their experience with home remodeling companies and show me their case studies, their methodology, their pricing strategy, whatever that might be. And AI knows how to go get that information right there in real time. By the time the buyer ever reaches out to you, me, and us in the future, they've already basically made a decision whether or not you're in the top tier or not, whether you're in the qualifying round or not, or they will have eliminated you and you'd never know they were even looking. You won't even get a chance to influence their decision. You won't get to tell your story. You won't get to say how much service you've done in your community for 36 years. You won't get to build the know, like, and trust factor the way we've always known it to be, because they might make their decision before they ever show up. That was what for the first time, although I'm in this every day, we're pro AI all day, we're teaching our clients, helping our clients, moving our clients forward through this model. It's changing for everyone. That was the most unnerving thought, was when I saw that document. That buyer had already decided that we were one of the top fits for his situation. We were one of the top 3 or 4 that he would talk to. I think it was 4. He still needed to have the conversation with us to confirm that what he'd learned from AI was right. So he went along the journey of talking to each of us, right? In our case, it worked out in our favor. But here's what's actually even scarier. How many buyers out there right now are using AI to evaluate us or you, and we have no idea that it's even happening, right? They're not visiting the website anymore because we already know what's going on with Google AI overviews. They're not coming to the website anymore. If they're on your social media, you can't tell they're doing anything there, but now they're actually fully immersed in a conversation. So let me explain something technical here that's, I think, really important for you to understand. AI models, as I understand it, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of them, as far as I understand, they're of course trained on publicly available information and content all across the internet. They didn't create anything original. Articles, blog posts, podcasts, PR, press releases, videos, social media posts, interviews, you name it, that's what they've learned on, right? It's all public, it's all online, and AI has access to it. This means that when a buyer asks AI to evaluate potential solutions for them, they're pulling everything that you've ever published, or could pull everything you've ever published publicly. They could pull your website content, your podcast episodes, your articles that you've been mentioned in or quoted in, your press releases. They could pull your posts from LinkedIn. It can literally pull everything. But here's the key. AI isn't just looking for what you say about yourself. They're synthesizing everything. And I don't have time to walk through what actually happens in what they call fan-out queries, which is how AI actually pulls a query. It's not an algorithm. Okay, that's for another video. It's synthesizing all the information to form a picture of who you are, what you do, and whether you're credible or not in the scenario that the person is speaking to the AI, speaking to the LLM about you. If your content is thin, if your positioning is vague, if you're not demonstrating your expertise publicly, AI has nothing to work with. And if you've ever deemed SEO important in your business where you would rank on the first page of Google, then you should know EEAT, expertise, experience, authority, and trust. Those are the signals that Google would look for to elevate the brand of your website depending on the type of search and your competition. If your content's thin, if your positioning is vague, if you're not demonstrating your expertise publicly, then you effectively don't even exist in the evaluation process. But let's say you are creating content substantially that shows how you think, the documents that show your methodology, that demonstrates the results that you've generated for clients, and AI can pick up on that. Well, then you get to be surfaced as one of the potential solutions. Not ranked on the first page. AI will actually advocate for you. I've seen it in the notes that were handed to me. And the buyer will show up with that first conversation. 70, 80, maybe 90% sold. The days are gone when you have to convince someone that they should be working with you. This is a game-changing situation for businesses who take this seriously and change the way they've done things in the past. If you didn't believe it when the internet first started, you should believe it now. Businesses are no longer the gateway to the information that a buyer needs to decide whether they want to do business with you or not. And that's going to hurt a lot of feelings. But it is true. That's what happened with both of these clients. They weren't kicking tires. They were confirming what AI had already told them about us. And I'm very fortunate that we had the opportunity to not only have these conversations with them, but that they shared this information with us. Now, here's what I want you to understand as we sort of bring this home. This creates both an opportunity and a risk, and one that your marketing team is probably not paying attention to, one that your current agency is probably not paying attention to. But I will tell you, you should not sleep on this opportunity because it is massive. If you're doing the work to create good content, to document your processes, to point out your positioning and how you're unique in your marketplace, you're going to have an advantage in being able to show up in these AI-assisted buyer searches or buyers' journeys or buyer conversations. You're not always guaranteed to be at the top of the list. I've run these searches many, many times, and every single time it brings up a different list. So we don't pretend to have all the answers for exactly how this works. I don't know that anybody does. Sounding like a guru and thinking they understand how OpenAI does it and how Gemini does it. I just don't. Look, we are never going to pretend that we understand all of how that thing is built. We didn't build it. But if the opportunity is massive, so is the risk. The risk is if you're not creating content and AI is crawling and archiving content, if your positioning is vague, if all you have is a basic website with generic service descriptions or product descriptions or product pages, as we like to say it, you're likely to be fairly invisible in the process. If you're not collecting reviews on Google and Yelp and those types of websites that are relevant to your industry, you might be invisible in this process. And you won't even know that you've been eliminated because the buyer will never reach out and you won't lose the deal. You'll never even knew the deal was even coming your way. It's a difference. You won't be looking in your CRM to try to understand how come you didn't get those deals, because these are deals that would have never touched your CRM. That's a big deal. For those of you overseeing sales, that's a freaking big deal. So here's what we're seeing right now. Can't say it's always going to work, but here's how we're approaching it in our world. First, get really clear and specific about who you're for in your particular market and your positioning. Not homeowners in Santa Clarita. I'm just using that example. Get very specific about who you are, who you help, and make sure your website is saying that. Because if AI are crawling the website, and they are, then if you just say homeowners in Santa Clarita, you're way out here. You've got to get very specific, and you might need to do that on multiple pages on your website. AI, from our understanding, rewards specificity. So you might say and look at your positioning as, we help X choose Y through Z solution or process. We believe that that'll probably work better than we're, in my world, like just saying, oh, we're a full service agency. That doesn't say nothing. Everybody can say that. Or we provide customized solutions. It's too broad. Be specific about who you help, not just the who demographically, but who psychographically. Be able to break down all of the problems that your customers are facing en route to buying your product or service. It's a different way of thinking about it. We've thought about this for all the years we've been in business, ever since I was a young entrepreneur in my 20s. Understanding the difference between a first-time buyer, when I was in the mortgage industry, a first-time buyer wanted to buy a home. A move-up buyer also wanted to buy a home. A vacation home buyer also wanted to buy a home. An investor also wanted to buy a home. But all four of them had different types of psychology about the process. So I got inundated into this in the 90s. Carried it on into the 2000s, and of course now for the last 15 years at our agency. So this is not new for us. Be very specific. Don't be generic. AI will skip right by it. Number two, get your processes and your results and how you do things. This is one of the things where it's kind of interesting, because you really want to document your internal processes for how you get to the result for your client and get that on your website. That could be methodologies, frameworks, case studies, before and after scenarios, whatever that might look like. This is going to help AI understand what you do, how you deliver it, and what the value is of what you deliver. If all you say is, we provide great service, we've been in business for 38 years, we're a family-owned company for 56 years, second generation, all these things, it's going to be too flat. The third thing you want to do is make sure your expertise is accessible across the web. What does that mean? I've been saying this for years. We've been trying to get our clients to do it aggressively since 2017-18. Let me start with a caveat. I know right now, most of you watching this do not want to start your own podcast. I know you don't want to be a creator on YouTube or TikTok or social media. I get it. But there's a way today to amplify your expertise through podcasts, articles, videos, content that demonstrates how you think, not just what you sell. And the interesting part about it is, when we talk to most of you and we ask why people chose you, you say something like, they trusted our process, they trusted our methodology, they trusted us in some way, shape, or form, right? That's the old know, like, and trust factor. Well, guess what? If the decisions are being made about whether someone can trust you or not is happening now in the world of AI, and they never get a chance to communicate with you so you can build that rapport, that know, like, and trust factor face-to-face or in your office, then you're going to be left out. This isn't about getting into being a content creator. It's not about the engine of content in general. This isn't content marketing. This is positioning your brand so that AI can evaluate you, understand you, separate you from your competition. And it's up to you now to do that and have a model for doing that. If you're interested in the model that we use with our clients, just feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to share it with you. We've shared it on this podcast, so you can probably find it here in the channel somewhere. When a buyer is asking AI to evaluate competitors, it's pulling from all of these sources. Look, 16%, I heard a study, I can't prove it, so I hate sometimes quoting statistics, but I heard a statistic recently that 16% of AI results are coming back with YouTube videos. No one wants to start a podcast per se, but what I will tell you is, what if you started a YouTube channel strictly to make sure that the AI covered all of the necessary information? If YouTube is showing up inside of AI, call it ChatGPT, and less people are coming to your website, could YouTube be your new blog? Fourth, let me close this up by saying the number one thing you can do coming away from this video in your content strategy, in your marketing strategy, in your strategy in general, is just answer the real questions that your buyers are asking throughout the buying journey, throughout the buying process. It's the easiest low-hanging fruit. We've been doing it in our agency on blog since 2013. The number one thing you can do is find all the frequently asked questions, answer those questions on your website, on videos, on social media, so that AI knows, any of them know, that you're the authority in that topic. You got to remember this part, and this is the thing that I'm noticing myself, and it became clear that buyers of all types are doing it as well. They're not typing in 3, 4, 5, 6 words in ChatGPT. They are asking 20, 30, 40 words, sometimes dissertations in their prompts. They're detailed, they're nuanced, they're about their very specific situation. And if your content surfaces only surface level answers, you might miss showing up in the deeper evaluation that your prospects have. Now, I'm not saying every buyer on the planet is doing this. That's not what I'm saying. I'm speaking to the early adopters who right now want to get ahead of the curve and not wait until this thing is front and center that there's a problem. If you're not using ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, and you're not doing exactly this, then this doesn't matter to you. I get it, it won't matter to you. But if your behavior is changing in how you search and how you make decisions and how you find products or services and how you get answers to your questions, then why wouldn't your customers? You need to create content that addresses those types of questions. And maybe it's something you've never done, but guess what? The best time to start would have been yesterday. The second best time is today. Here's the principle underneath all of this that we've seen, and that is AI doesn't change buyer psychology. Buyer psychology is still what it is. They still buyers want to make a decision with credible people they can trust and feel like it's a good fit to solve their problem. So AI doesn't change that in buyer behavior. Buyer behavior is not changing in the sense that their journey is changing. Buyers are still humans. We still have these brains that do things logically and emotionally, but it is changing how and when they make decisions. It's changing how and when they gather information. It's changing whether they're even going to consider you or others. They're not going to even get to your website anymore. I'm not suggesting all website traffic's dead, but let's look at the writing on the wall. If anyone wants to come to one of our Inner Circle events, all I got to do is open up Google Search Console and I can prove it. What this means is you have to think about how to show up in AI-assisted evaluations, which is what buyers are doing today. Not just on your website, not just in your handout marketing materials, not just at the trade show, not when you're door knocking and sending your crew out knocking on the door, but you got to be thinking about an entire body of publicly available content about you and your business. That's the game right now. I get it. I'm just probably thinking, damn. Right? I live in the world of change. So even though we accept change the way it comes, helping clients grow on platforms we don't own, Google, Facebook, Instagram, they change the platforms every day. And when we have to change, we have to change. This is different. I get it though. This probably sounds overwhelming. You're probably already busy running your business. And now I'm telling you got to worry about how AI perceives your business. How do you get found in AI? I'm further saying there isn't a magic pill or a magic recipe. Now, if you try to wait for one, you're probably going to get smoked by your competitors. But here's the thing. You're already creating content. You're already having conversations with your clients. I guarantee you're already explaining your methodology and how you think about it and the unique reason why they should have chosen you in the first place. But the question is are you documenting it? We're not asking you to do something you haven't already done 1,000 times. If your company is already established, the question is are you making it public? Are you creating some sort of body of work that will give AI a trail that'll lead back to you? Because whether you like it or not, that's how the buyers are starting to make decisions now. This very camera that I'm shooting this video on, this very camera, I made the decision without ever talking to anyone. Not because I'm a camera guy, not because I'm so smart because I'm a videographer, because I'm not. I made the decision to get this camera by chatting with ChatGPT. Things are changing. So whether it's a product or whether it's a service, the goal of every business watching this, the business owner watching this, is to start figuring this out early, investing the time and energy and effort into it, getting with someone who can help you with this. If you don't have anyone on your team and you need some support on this, feel free to just reach out to us. There's a link down below somewhere you can reach out to us and have a conversation. Because I can tell you with anything in history, those who move early usually get more apples, right? If you move early, you usually get a bigger piece of the pie. If you wait until you're a laggard, until you have no choice but to do it, you'll be behind. We are still talking to people today in 2026 about starting their SEO journey. They've been in business for 15 or 20 years, and they're just now thinking about SEO. And here we are talking about AIO and GEO and all of these new things with AI. I'm not mad at them, but they are in a very difficult scenario where their more nimble, newer competitors are crushing it because they're doing these things that we're talking about in this video. All right, that's what I got for you today, right? That was pretty heavy. I get it. But if this episode got you thinking about how you might be showing up in this AI buyer-assisted journey, that's good. That was the point. I don't want to let something happen in our world where we discover something and we don't put it out here for all of you to know, whether you're a client of ours or not. Now, we've got a lot more content on this channel, on this podcast, in the archive on positioning, marketing, lead generation, advertising, Facebook, all of the good things. And more will come about how buyers are continuing to adapt in 2026. So dig in to the channel, to the podcast, wherever you're listening to this. If you find it relevant, keep listening, and I'll talk to you next time.